Hey there, future celeb, and welcome to How to Be Famous with Whitney Euland. I'm your host, Whitney Euland. Now, I'm a big believer that the world would be a better place if more good-hearted people were able to make a massive impact. And if fame is calling to you, then there is an audience for you, and I'm here to show you how to find it. In this show, we are diving into the art of becoming a self-made celebrity. And no, you do not need $1 million ad budget or a team of talented agents. You already have the power inside of you, and I'm here to show you how to unlock it. I'm here to help the talented artists, creatives, and influencers tap into what I call celebrity energy so that you can become the magnet for the opportunities, fame, and success that you know that you were born for. But we're not here just for fame's sake. We're about making a positive impact, sharing your unique voice, and ultimately connecting to like-minded souls who also want to make a massive impact. So join me as we explore the stories, secrets, and strategies to help you shine brighter and leave your mark on this world. Get ready to be inspired, informed, and entertained, because this process is really about turning your dreams into a reality and finding the audience that is obsessed with you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and together we will embark on the journey where I show you how to be famous. Hello, future celeb, and welcome to another episode of the How to Be Famous with Whitney Euland podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to share this week's guest with y'all. This is one of my former clients, Lori, and she has just popped the absolute fuck off just in a very short amount of time. She is such a great example of really creating a quantum leap in her life and using the resource of fame to create massive changes really quickly. Her entire life has changed. She will share all of that with you in this episode and tell you exactly how she did it. But I wanted to let you know that for the month of February, we are specifically doing a quantum leap deep dive. So what I mean by that is this year is actually leap year, which means there is an extra day in the year, which means really, this is kind of just destined for you to create a quantum leap in your life. And that is exactly what becoming a celebrity is. That is exactly what creating fame is. When you create the resource of fame, everything in your life changes. The way that people look at you, interact with you, talk to you, the way that money comes to you, your relationship in your life. So with all of the people in your life, all of those things shift, and they shift really quickly. And your brain is going to freak the fuck out if everything starts changing really quickly, and is going to intentionally sabotage you and keep you from continuing to grow. I see this all of the time with my clients. This is where we really see that energetic threshold bumping at the top, right? We hit our upper limits. This is where people want to self-sabotage and stop taking action. So all of that to say, this month is all about re-regulating your nervous system and working through the interpersonal relationships that are getting in the way from you tapping into your next level of celebrity. So we have 6 group coaching calls every single month in my group coaching program, the Self-Made Celebrity. And so on these group coaching calls this month, for 4 of those 6 calls, we are going to be specifically diving into the 4 relationships that are keeping you from becoming a self-made celebrity. So those are your relationship to your family, to your friends, to your romantic partners or lack thereof, and 4th, to money. So those are going to be the 4 things that we're really going to be focusing on this month inside of the Self-Made Celebrity. It is going to give you an entire quantum leap identity upgrade. So if you have been on the fence about joining, now is the perfect time so that you can really start to create a quantum leap, not only just this month, but through the year. You are going to learn the exact tools in my 6-step process to continue creating fame at every new level. So if you are on the fence about joining, send me a text. We have the link about for the program in my bio, and my literal cell phone number is right there. You can text me, and I will send you all of the. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. But I hope to see you inside, and have an awesome day. Enjoy the episode. Hello, future celebs, and welcome to another episode of the How to Be Famous podcast. I am so excited because today I have the incredible, okay, wait, you have to tell me the incredible Lori, because we've had a couple of name changes on the TikToks. So why don't you tell everyone because you're at Lori Alterman. Is that correct?
So this is hilarious. So I'm 55 and I am on social media, and I have a 23-year-old daughter and a almost 1-year-old daughter. And although they're proud, they're humiliated, which is phenomenal. So it means if I'm making them cringe, Whitney, I'm doing something
right. It means it's
right.
working. 100%. 100%. So you're at Lori Alterman now. So we did a rebrand, if you will, a name change.
We did. They said, here's your compromise. If you're going to make an ass out of yourself, you're going to change your name. So it's weird. I went back to my maiden name, which I haven't had in almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, Whitney, does that make me single again?
Oh my God. I don't know. We should consider that. I think that's a new series for you.
No. So it was
Um,
weird at first for sure, but now I've just discovered that maybe it's not the worst thing. And if they
mhm.
thought I was crazy with their last name, they have no idea what they're in for now.
Okay, so this just all encapsulated what I love about you and why I was so excited to have you on the podcast. Not only because you are such an amazing example and such an incredible success story, but I get all of the time. People, it always looks different for people when they come to me. They're like, what if I'm too X, Y, and Z to get started? And a lot of it is, what if I'm too old to get started? You know, you see TikTokers who are 22 getting started or whatever. You're in your 50s, but it's everyone finds whatever is wherever they are at and uses that a weapon as a weapon against themselves for a reason to get started. So like, was that a challenge for you, or was it just like, who the fuck cares? I'm doing this.
So it was a combination of fuck the young people
Mm-hmm.
and that's not true, but it just kind of sounded funny. I would say this. So to me, social media, there's a lot of bad parts for sure, and dangers and dark side. But the bright side is that anyone at any age can do it. And you may have a perception that there is an age range and they card you at the door of social media,
Mm-hmm.
but there isn't. And I thought to myself, why not? So there's so much that a younger person can bring to
Mm-hmm.
a platform, but let's be honest, an older person can bring way more
So
with way
much
less
more.
to lose.
So much more. And okay, so let me give everyone a recap because I completely skipped over this. Is that we started working together 2.5 months ago? Does that sound right?
So the great
Three
thing about
months?
being 55 is I don't remember, but it was in the last few
Perfect.
months.
It was in the last few months, and you came to me and you had a good a couple of like viral videos. You can tell me if you're like that wasn't true, but it seemed like you were like, I kind of get this, but I don't really know exactly what the direction is and like how to capitalize it. You quickly jumped from like I remember you like signed up and then like by the time we actually met, you had gained like 7,000 followers. You jumped from like 2 to 7, and then we got you to 10 like that week. Now Lori is like about to cross 100K. And all of this has been possible in just a couple of months, which is so amazing. And then you shared an exciting update. Do you know what I'm talking about to share with the people?
Yes, I am expecting my third child. Uh, no, I don't have a uterus. I couldn't have had a baby. Yes,
Oh my
Whitney,
God.
you're right. I came to Whitney. So to really talk about you, I felt confident in the direction I wanted to go. I
Mhm.
felt very comfortable in my skin saying, look, before I had kids, I was on a track to be in entertainment. So I
Mhm.
always wanted to do something in that space. So when I came to Whitney, it was, look, I always wanted to do this.
Yep.
In 2023, how does that look? So I needed someone to help me physically, mentally, technically work the app of TikTok,
Yep.
work the technical part, and understand, is it okay to own the fact that, yeah, I want to be, for lack of better word, and it shouldn't be a dirty word, famous. I
Yeah.
want to have a platform to
Mhm.
speak, to entertain, to inspire, to educate. And so what Whitney's great about is really framing all of that, that it's okay. You can be confident in that. I want to do this, and this, I want to do it in front of a billion people. And for someone my age, I had literally never used a laptop. I
Mhm.
had never done anything technically. Whitney was great about, or you were great about showing my, when do you post? How do you post? How do you edit? I knew none of that, literally
Mhm.
none of that.
Thank you. Well, yeah, and I think though you're such a good example of like you said, you're like, I knew that I wanted to do this. I had the background in, performing. To me, you were such a good example of like you came with celebrity energy and then it was just like, let's turn up the lever already. And I think that that's why I would attribute like your quick success is because kind of this like overnight success. And the if it's okay that I share, is that you just quit your job and are doing this full time now. So that's the update, that in just 2.5 months, 3 months, whatever it was, you created that, which is so fucking amazing. But I think you were such a person who you had that foundation. And so your work was really just kind of learning and understand the medium of TikTok. Whereas I think a lot of other people struggle to get to that place of the self concept, of the confidence, and also of being able to translate your celebrity onto the camera. So was that something that you struggled with at all? Like, did that part come really naturally to you? Because, my audience knows that like celebrity energy is just being able to tap into your, like, be in a state where you are not inhibited by fear, right? It's that authentic state where you're just in the slow state and you just kind of naturally exist that in that state. But was that ever a struggle once the camera turned on?
The struggle that I've had, and the reason I found you, because I literally was on TikTok. TikTok's a wealth of information.
Right?
My struggle was I didn't know there was someone like you that could tap into what I had already been feeling but didn't have a name for. I felt
Yes.
like I wanted and I needed to be um on stage, so to speak,
Yes.
but I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't know how to technically do it. So to answer your question, no, I'm very comfortable on camera. But if you could see me behind the scenes on a laptop or even just a text, I had to hire someone in. I'm in Philadelphia, Whitney's in LA. I had to hire someone to sit with me to turn on a laptop, to understand how to embed a picture into an email. So Whitney, I would say I'm comfortable in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
You made me feel more confident about being confident.
Mm-hmm.
And mine was literally texting you day and night. How do I link Amazon? How do
Yeah.
I block a follower? When I went to you, you had so much broader than just being confident. You
Mm-hmm.
had there's confidence beyond in front of the camera. Behind it, it's really nerve-wracking as a 55-year-old to figure out how the hell to do it all. I sometimes maybe get a TikTok banned or violated, a violation. How do you appeal it? So
Yeah.
you are in the space of helping someone tap into confidence and celebrity energy and not being ashamed of that, but you also help someone who feels ashamed that I can't work the darn thing.
Totally. Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing that's like so hard, is like, as an like, you are an artist, and yet now with TikTok it's like you also have to be able to like be the lighting person, the cameraman, the editor, like all of the different hats.
Right.
But and I think a lot of the time something that I see, I don't know if this was, well, I actually do kind of remember giving you some pep talks where I was just like, Lori, you can absolutely figure this out. We have these like messages of like, because you're a creative, then we're like, I don't know, whatever, right? But it's like you're doing the hard part. The easy part is like you are a confident person, and like you can figure this out. But also it is tricky, and it's like one of those things where you're like tapping your head and patting your stomach at the same time, and you're like, I don't know what's happening. um so let me ask you this. What was your was there a specific like breakthrough moment that like stands out to you where you were like, oh, I get it now?
With the technical or the performance, with the technical, it was my husband and I sitting down with his laptop for 4 days in a row. I would say 30 something hours. We almost ended up leaving, parting ways. Nice to know you. There was some point we both, and I did hire someone to help me with this now, where we both realized, wow, I'm actually able now to download a video, send it to a brand, to do my lighting, to work a tripod. It happened to be that week. And I would say to anyone who's listening or watching, you will never be as bad as the first day you're trying something. I just kept
100%.
thinking, I can't be worse than I am, that I didn't know how to work a mouse. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
how, when someone said to download it from a cloud. So it clicked with me with that. And with the performance, when I started to crave and laugh at my own stuff, and
Yes.
I can't wait. I'm just chomping at the bit to produce something that
Yes.
happened all in a few weeks. And without the ugly, like how you make the sausage in the back of the kitchen, you can't put stuff out to any platform. I also, from you, I said Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat. All of these are different animals, and you're well versed in that. And you were also very cognitive and respectful that, look, Lori, you just take a bite. You can't possibly learn it all. So when I slowed my roll, I started to get more confidence, and then I started posting on Instagram.
Yep.
And it did happen fast because I have the confidence, and I had you. I now work with someone who directly works with brands and monetizes.
Perfect.
That's a whole other animal.
Yep.
So you see, you see you or me as just a talking head, and there's so much more behind it. But the joy, I would speak for you too, that we get is this interface, is a follower saying I was in the worst mood and you crack me up, or
Yep.
I was at my worst part of my life and you gave me, like, that's real. You and I are nobody without followers.
Yep.
Zero.
Yep. And I love that too. Like, and I think you're such a good example of this because, to the point of like, young people do have a lot to offer. And yet there is this huge gap in like you are the only person who I know of on TikTok, and I spend all day on TikTok, who is a funny, beautiful woman in her 50s who is like out here to make people laugh and to make people feel beautiful and loved. And like it's so funny too because one of the things everyone is always like, who are your clients? Who have you worked with? And no one ever wants to admit that they hired me. And one of the things that I say is I'm like, well, people admitting that is just about as likely as they are to admit that they got plastic surgery, which is so funny because that's like such a huge part of your platform is being like, let's be transparent about my plastic surgery. And I think it is your willingness to be authentic and to really connect with people who like, these women who are like, I'm considering that. Is that, should I, is it, whatever. Like that's really like such a needed space. And I think for anyone listening, looking at like what parts of you people might find valuable. And, was there a, was because but when we started working together, you already knew what you wanted to be talking about. How did you get to that place? Like did the desire to talk about that come first or did the desire to be famous come first?
Oh, no, no, definitely to everyone has been through so much in their lives, everybody, no matter what age. And I am no exception. And I felt strongly that I am on the other side of some really hard things in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it would make it so worthwhile if I could impart wisdom, hope, advice. So it
Mm-hmm.
started out that I would talk to women who had breast cancer and may need to or may have made a very controversial decision. I didn't have reconstruction. So it started out like I want to give hope to women with breast cancer, no matter what happened with their breast cancer. And I wanted to give hope for parenting. And I happened to have been getting a facelift within the first few weeks. So it made me feel really good that I'd already started the conversation about women's cancer. I had a hysterectomy about my mom who died of cancer. And it was after the plastic surgery that it organically started happening where, like you said, I ain't embarrassed. I think this is a really morbid thing to say, Whitney. My best friend said this to me years ago. I want to kill her. We're just all waiting to die. So if we're just all waiting, just say it, do it. No one, everybody is so into their own life and self. No one cares. If you overthink it, all right, you need some help coaching. Now, I can understand if you're a real celebrity and you don't want to reveal that you're using you. I actually get that. But if you're someone who's like, I'm just tapping into this, it's a cool thing. And I do respect people who are private and don't want to discuss this. But for me, it started out, I wanted to talk about cancer, women's cancer, being beautiful in a different kind of body. And then it morphed. And then the real love of my life is humor and comedy. And it just started coming out naturally. And I don't know where the road's going to take me. I'm excited. I am so open-minded. I hate cooking. Maybe I'll have a cooking show.
I am so here for this. I'm like, wish that I was a talent manager because for me, I
Me
just
too. I
see,
wish you were.
right? I'm just like, I see all of the potential streams of income for you and exactly where you could go. And I'm like, someone can make so much money on you. And you have like, you were just sitting on a gold mine. And I'm just so
Thank
excited
you.
and
Thank
grateful
you.
to have been part of part of the beginning of that journey. I'm curious, like, okay, so you said, like, you don't care what people are thinking. We're on this floating rock. Haters. Everyone is always like, what do I do about that? Are you just at the point in your life that you never have been affected by it? Are there certain comments that do throw you? Like, what do you do with them?
So I've always had thick skin, and I know what it means to put yourself out. I
Mm,
know what cowards lie behind keyboards and what miserable humans. It's not about me. It's not about you when someone's not nice.
yep.
That said, I am human. And I have had some really, I actually get a kick out of the snorky. What bothers me is, because I'm very truthful, is when there is something that's not true, when they'll say
Yes.
something, I'm like, that's just a lie. But if you
Yep.
want to come at my looks, you want to come at my content, there's two words: scroll on. Because
Mm,
we'd be lying to say, Whitney, that we aren't on social media or even in live person with someone, and you're not thinking, what the hell are they saying, wearing, doing? But the difference is to have some respect and some humanity not to say it. I mean, it takes a
yes.
lot to go on Whitney's page and go, what the hell are you talking about? You said the
Right.
same thing. I mean, I had someone today who said, I have this series on my husband cheating me. He didn't. I mean, I don't think he did. Hope he didn't. And someone literally wrote today, I would cheat on you too. You're so annoying and you wear too much makeup. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. I just was like that. They took the time. If they think that, that's fine. Like, that's normal to think, like, I would cheat on her too. She's awful. But to write it. So to answer your question, I don't know that I could have handled this, and maybe why it didn't happen when I was in my 20s. I can handle it at
Yeah.
55.
Yeah, that's such yeah, that makes so much sense. I'm working on helping people specifically, like that's a question I get all the time. So I'm wanting to build a little TikTok series for it. But yeah, it's interesting. There's like some things that just get under our skin and others are, fine. But at the end of the day, who is that woman? Julia Fox. Do you know her? The
Mm-hmm.
celebrity. She had this, I don't know if you saw this interview where Drew Barrymore was like, "Yeah, so what do you think about trolls?" And she was like, "I just feel so sad for them."
It is
Like
sad.
it was kind of this idea of like and I've actually thought about sometimes commenting back and being like, I can see this, right? Like this is embarrassing for you that you would just say this to someone in public, but
I have
that
written back,
fear,
not a great look. And I
oh, that's a
have
good
read,
one.
yeah, and I have written back, what was your intention in that comment? Right.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Like,
Yeah,
was
see,
it, my husband actually taught me, I don't know if he taught me, but he said, because I've had real people say it to me to my face, is your intention to be helpful or hurtful? Because if I
mm,
say to you, Whitney, God, there's a very big difference between me saying every day you have this, or every day you have the same podcast, is very different than, gosh, every day, you're having the same podcast. The second one is me going, I'm concerned. But the first one is just me being,
right? Yeah, no, and it's like it's such a different, but it's also like I've gotten DMs from people being like, "Hey, like I didn't know that Starbucks was canceled because I don't watch the news." And there was that time that Starbucks was canceled. I don't
right.
even know if it still fucking is, but someone DM'd me and she was like, "Hey, I wanted you to know this is the backstory of what's happening on Starbucks. You might not want to support them, like blah blah blah." So different than someone being like, "F
Very
you, you."
different.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and for that, I was just like, "Thank you for letting me know. This gives me more information." And I do think it's like about, having that as a creator, you do kind of want to assume that people, be curious instead of just assuming that they're attacking you. But this is a tangent now, but my biggest pet peeve is the men. The men who
Mm.
say, you're full of shit. And then I bite back. And then they say, you're being, so what I've started doing is saying, says the least favorite man or the least famous man in my comments and then a little crown because they're always men with no followers who are like, this is full of you're full of shit. And I'm like, you don't even like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I started commenting that and then they're all like, why are you being so mean? And I'm like, bro, you came here and we're mean. Like, and it's this like whole like nice guy, quote unquote, nice guy gaslighting thing where like suddenly I'm the bad guy, even though you came into my house and tried to attack me. Like, I'm just like, I'm so over that. Um, but
It is remarkable that when I do go on the person's page to see who they are, it's never their real name and they
nope.
have no followers.
Yep.
I mean,
100%.
I gotta be honest, if it was someone real and they had like a 10, I'd be like, oh, God.
Right,
But
right.
they're not.
But that's the thing too, is like anytime I've had celebrities interact with my page, it'll be like Kesha. Like people like and they're all like, you're so on, like you're so right about this. Right. So it's like it's the people who have nothing to
I
stand
had
on
someone
that
go
have the
off on
longest
me the
voice.
other day because I was doing, I'm famous for these coffee drinks and these smoothies. And I got this rando who went off on a tangent that I was drinking some sort of milk that came from certain cat. I'm like, you got to be kidding.
You're like,
Like you
we're
can't,
doing
you
our best with
couldn't
the
have.
milk. Yeah. Yeah, people are insane and have way too much time. I'm like, if you put all of this energy into creating, you could have a following too, bro.
Right.
Okay, so going back, I know that was a side tangent. What are your thoughts on consistency? I get that question all the time. People are like, it's so hard to be consistent. Have you just gotten into a rhythm with it? Do you expect consistency? Is it natural? You sound like you're very compelled to create content. So it might not even be something you're that conscious of, but you do obviously post consistently. So what's that process like for you? Like, are you
I
like
really
this day
feel,
today at 10, I'm
no,
gonna
I don't have a
perform.
posting schedule, and I don't have, I am compelled and energized. That said, I also know I love sports, that it is like going to bat. Every time you go, you're getting better. Every time you're
Mm,
creating, you should be getting better. If you only go to bat 5 times a day and then someone else does it 150, who's going to be better? So that's what drives me, that I look back. You should cringe at your content
a
from,
100%.
you should from 3 months ago. You should be evolving. You should be learning. So I am very compelled to keep doing it. Because you have to feed the algorithm, right?
Yeah.
I look at the algorithm as a baby, and you got to keep putting into it. And because I want to get better, and you're never going to get better if you are dabbling in social media. It's just not that.
Yes. Okay, let me ask you this because I remember this happening to you and this happens to everyone. They get a viral video. This was like your first one that was like over 1 million. And then after that, you were like, I'm stuck in like low view jail. What are your thoughts on view jail now?
I spend a lot of time looking at videos from people like you, very wise and very versed in social media platforms. I'm picky on who I follow and who I work with. And the thing that they say that is consistent across the line: views mean nothing. You can't get stuck on numbers. If you
Mhm.
keep going to bat and just producing the best quality, entertaining, engaging, and giving the viewers a reason to come back, the numbers will be there. If you're only posting to see numbers or to make money, you'll be out of this
You're
in
out.
a week.
A hundred
So
percent.
yeah, I'm human. Something goes viral and then something tanks. You do want to be objective enough to sit back and say what was different. But sometimes it's the moon.
Yep.
It's the social platform. Like right now, TikTok's working out some beta programs and some bugs. So
Hmm.
if you feel like I just posted something that I would want to see, move on. The numbers, it's very hard, especially when people around you don't understand social media and they're
Hmm.
saying, wow, that one only did 200. By the way, views mean nothing.
Yes.
It's engagement and it's followers.
I
You
love
can have
that.
1 million views, you can even have 1 million followers, but if there's no community and people aren't invested in what's going on, it's pointless.
Let me ask you about your community because I hear a lot of comedians say that they struggle with that. And because they say, oh, and the other thing I just wanted to say is that a lot of the time, what happens, excuse me, is that people have a viral video and then they're like, I'm stuck in love, you can't count jail. But really, their views are still higher than the views were before the viral video. It just seems low because you've had the viral video, right? So it's like they went down to like 1,000 instead of like they're not back down to zero, right? But
Right.
and I do remember that happening with you where I was like, okay, just because they're not 1 million, you're actually still doing amazing. But how do you like, so a lot of comedians have said like, people like my content, but they're not, they like it, but they don't follow for more. How have you built a community? Because I think that's something that you're really good at. And like, what would you advise to someone who's struggling to do that?
So I can't speak for comedians proper. I don't, I'm not posting part of my stand up. I'm not posting part of my show. It's more skits that
Mm,
are playing off of stuff that has happened that I've done. So it would be really hard to have an engaged conversation or have someone, transfer to a follower if it was just flat stand up. I can see that. Mine has been more natural in that they may have come for the cancer or the nervous breakdown I had, or parenting, or plastic surgery. And now they're getting some doses of comedy.
mm,
And some, I'm sure some are confused. I'm sure some are like, I don't get it. I liked it when she was talking about, her neck lift. But the people who have loved the content are tending to love all of it, the comedy too. But
yes.
if maybe because it's just not comedy. And back to what I said before, if you really love what you're doing, and I engage, I try to answer
Yes.
every single comment, which will be hard and is hard. And to your point earlier, everything's relative. So if I saw someone say, and I will never forget this, it's never enough. So you think my first 5,000, 10,000, 100,
Mhm.
you have to be able to be happy with what you're doing, with what you have now, because it's never going to be enough. And so
Yes.
maybe that comedian does have engagement, but he's comparing himself to the next one. All I can say is that keep doing your funny stuff. If you're a comedian, I mean, I follow comedians.
Yes. Well, I think you're such a good example of like how you were saying, like, some people are following me for this, some people for this. But what you're really, really smart at is including all of those pieces because that's what's making you a celebrity, right? Like the people who, like, I think if God forbid TikTok shuts down tomorrow, you are gonna know how to build an audience on YouTube and on Instagram, and a lot of your people are going to look for you there, and like, and or like you're just going to build a new one because what happens a lot is people just niche themselves into one thing, and then people are coming for that one thing. Like if you were just doing like, here's makeup tips, they would like you, but they would be like, oh, that's the girl with the makeup tips, right? Instead of like, we love Lori, right? So as you like, to me, that's like the strategy of thinking in like the long term and thinking smarter instead of just like the one thing. And so I think with comedians, it's kind of the same thing where if they're just doing stand up, they're only showing one part of themselves instead of showing themselves as the celebrity, right? Which is all of the parts of them that people really want access to, and like getting to hear, all of the stories, and learning the characters of your, in your world has been so fun to witness. Um, Let me ask you this. What do you like? What's next for you? Do you know what's your next like big goal?
I am starting a podcast, and that is in my wheelhouse. I
Yes.
have been compared to the female Howard Stern. I don't know if you're a fan, but
Yes. I love
that's
that.
that's my jam. And so it's going to be a very eclectic bunch of guests that make no sense together, right? I
Which
have
is
you on
so on
with my
brand for you.
podiatrist because that makes sense. And I'm really excited about it because it will be unfiltered. It will
Yep.
be a very different, no one, there are rules and standards to these platforms. And I think that's great. I
Mhm.
just need to be me.
Yes.
And I'm excited to start this podcast and see what happens from that.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. Okay, so last a couple questions. If someone is just starting this journey and they're where you were a couple months ago, what advice do you have for them?
Try to soul search why you want to be a social content creator. And
Mm,
I don't know there's a wrong answer, but I think a lot of people don't think through why they want to do it, and then they feel like they're failing when they realize that they don't want to do it. Because
interesting.
it's a beast for sure, and it's a
Totally.
lot of work. But I would say that, and I couldn't stress this more. Find a coach. So for each step of this, right? Again, it's the baseball team. You have coaches for every single position for where you are in your career. I just think there's so many great people like you, and you just find them on
Yep.
TikTok or Instagram who help you, because there's no way that you come into this knowing how to do this, and you can make some big mistakes.
Totally. I love that. And I love also what you were saying about just like figuring out your why. Like, I think so many of my artists and creatives, it's like they judge themselves for wanting to be famous. But if we dig down a little bit deeper, there's a reason where it's like, I want to inspire or entertain or help people. And so that's why I'm such a believer that, like, if you have that desire, then you need to follow it because there are people waiting to be inspired and helped by you. So, amazing. Well, I love that. Also, yes, always love a plug for hiring a coach. I think it's like the most invaluable money you can spend. And yeah, I mean, even like, we think about like the kids who were born into, like the Nepo baby or whatever, they just have
Yeah.
mentors. And if you don't have mentors, then you just hire one, right? And that's how that's how you level up. Thank you so much. Do you have anything else you want to share before I let you go? And also share, where can my audience find you?
So thank you for having me, and thank you for really. You gave me such a safe and loving place in a time I needed it. So I thank you for that. I think you're amazing, and you can find me. I mean, for now at this name, who knows? I may be Kennedy or Kardashian by the end of the week. But on Instagram, I'm Lori Alterman with two N's. Don't ask because that's not confusing. And on TikTok at Lori Alterman. And yeah, that's it. My podcast is going to be called Not Responsible.
Oh my God, that's so perfect for you. I
Mhm.
absolutely love this. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your
Thank
time and
you.
for sharing with
And
my
I'll see
audience.
you. I'm going to come to LA and we're going to hang.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait for our lunch. And that's a wrap on another episode of How to Be Famous. If you found today's episode to be helpful, then make sure to subscribe and leave me a review or tag me on Instagram at Whitney Euland. Your feedback helps me to continue making empowering content. And if you're ready to be the next big thing and you want to take this work even deeper and work with me directly to become a self-made celebrity, then head to the link in the show notes where you can learn how to coach with me directly. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or gossip, then feel free to slide into my DMs. They are always open. I'm at Whitney Euland on TikTok and Instagram. I always love hearing your stories, celebrations, and wins. And remember, this is not about fame for fame's sake. It's about making a positive impact, bringing your dreams to life, and inspiring people along the way. Stay inspired, stay ambitious, and most importantly, stay true to your authentic self. Until next time, I'm Whitney Euland, and this is How to Be Famous with Whitney Euland.